Okay guys, today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions. We learned how to manipulate our fractions in the introduction to fraction worksheet, and now we're going to start adding them and subtracting them using some of those things that we learned in the introduction to fractions. So first let's start out with an example of 7 over 32 plus 7/8. 7 over 32 plus 7/8. So what we have to do first is find the smaller denominator, and we're going to turn that one into the bigger one. So when we did the comparing fractions section of the intro to fractions, that's finding a common denominator. That's what we're doing here. So we're going to see what they did to that 8 to make it a 32. So we can do that a couple of ways. We can say, okay, how many times will 8 fit into 32? Or we can say 8 times what equals 32? The answer is 4, so we're going to actually multiply times 4, okay? And whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So we multiply our 7 times 4 as well. So we're going to end up with 7 over 32 plus, and then 7 times 4 gives you 28. 8 times 4 gives you 32. So now our bottom numbers are the same. We have a common denominator. Now we just add our top numbers. So 7 plus 28 gives us 35. Our 32, we don't add that together, we don't multiply that together, that stays the same. So we're just going to bring that over. So we got 35 over 32. What we're left with here is an improper fraction, which we talked about in Intro to Fractions. So we need to figure out how to get this to a mixed number. Remember, the first step is always to take the bottom number, see how many times it'll fit into the top number. So 32 will go into 35 one time without going over. So our whole number is 1. So 32 goes into 35 one time. So 32 times 1 is 32. You subtract your 35 from that. So 35 minus 32 equals 3. So that's our remainder. Whatever we're left over with, that's our top number. And then our bottom number again is just going to continue to stay the same as the 32. Remember, the key is to always check to see if you have an odd number on top and an even number on bottom. If that's the case, that is simplified and we are done. And 3 is odd on top, even on bottom. That's our answer. Okay? Okay, I'm going to do one more for you. Let's take 1/4 plus 9 over 32. All right, so again, our first step is always to find the smaller denominator. So our 4 is our smaller denominator. We're going to see what we need to do to that 4, what we need to multiply that by to turn it into the bigger one. So 4 goes into 32 8 times. So we're going to multiply by 8. And we got to do the same thing to the top. So now we're left with 8 times 1 is 8, over 4 times 8 is 32. Okay? Now we're going to add our 9 over 32 to that. So our next step, since our bottom numbers are the same, we just add straight across. 8 plus 9 gives us 17 over 32 because the bottom number stays the same. Now we ask, is the top number odd? In this case it is, and the bottom number is even. We are done. That's all we got to do. So that's adding fractions. Now let's subtract some fractions. Let's take 5 over 8 minus 1 over 32. Now the process to do this is exactly the same. We need to find a common denominator first. So we're going to do the same process. The bottom number that's smaller needs to be turned into the bottom number that's larger. So what are we going to do to this 8 to make it a 32? 8 goes into 32 4 times. So we're going to multiply by 4. We've got to do the same thing to the top. Okay, so we have 5 times 4. That gives us 20. 8 times 4 we know gives us 32. Minus 1 over 32. Okay, again, now the same process that we did for adding. We've got our bottom numbers the same. Now we do the top numbers. The top numbers just get subtracted straight across. 20 minus 1 gives us 19. and our bottom number stays the same. We just keep dragging that over. 19 is an odd number on top, 32 is our even number on bottom, so we are finished. 19 over 32. All right, so now we're going to do this one here. We got 11/16 minus 2/4. We're going to do the same process. We got to get common denominator first. So we got a 16 and 4. Take the smaller one, turn it into the bigger one. So we're going to multiply this times something. So 4 goes into 16 4 times. We're going to multiply by 4. Do the same thing to the top. Okay, so we got 11/16 minus 2 times 4 gives us 8. 4 times 4 gives us our 16. And then we subtract. So we get 11 minus 8 is 3. 16 stays the same. Now we ask ourselves, is the top number even or odd? It's odd, so that means we're done. So anytime you're going to be typing in a fraction or a measurement into Google form, what you're going to do is you have to use the proper format or it will count it wrong. It's going to automatically grade your assignment and it will count it wrong. So if you have a whole number or a mixed number, what you're going to do is you're going to type in the whole number first. Then you're going to put a dash and then you're going to put your fraction in. So you're going to say 1/2, and that would be 2.5. Okay, so the whole number, then a dash, then the numerator slash denominator. Has to be typed in that way or it will be marked wrong, even if you have the right answer.